I'm going to start the introductions. We're going to start with Mary Asselstein, who is running in Ward 4, and then we're going to work down this way. I think you want to come up, Mary, do you?
It's this one.
But not down below your chest, as I told you.
Good evening, my name is Mary Asselstein, and I want to be your counselor in Ward 4, and this is why. I arrived in the sleepy village of Schomberg in 1985, population 1,100 people. Back then, Highway 9 and 27 were farm roads, and across from me on Main Street were open fields with dilapidated train sheds. The mill was still operating as a feed mill, and hockey was played all hours of the day and night in the freezing cold old arena. This was the place where we decided to raise our family. A lot has changed since then, and through that change, I've had the opportunity to give back to my community. In the 1980s, I was approached by residents to be involved in consultation on the Schomberg Village Community Plan. As a group and with my skills in municipal plan review, we were able to have meaningful input into the plan and help protect the Dufferin Marsh. My passion for King Township grew from there. My husband and I had a small bakery business, so I joined the short-lived Schomberg Business Association. And when we started having kids, I joined the executive of the Schomberg Skating Club and the Schomberg Softball Association. On top of this, I nurtured the fledgling Dufferin Marsh Nature Connection, building a constitution, registering it as a not-for-profit, and fundraising to develop the marsh as an amenity for the community and a place for nature. I took that community building experience and my passion for social and climate justice and helped found the Schomberg Community Farm and Climate Action King. Over the years, I have listened and commented on proposed developments and planning strategies for our municipality. Most recently, I raised important community concerns about the proposed 6+ story condo development for Main Street in Schomberg. In addition, through hours of review and meetings on the new official plan and zoning bylaw, I helped bring a community perspective. Why do I want to be your counselor for Ward 4? I want to build on what I've already been doing for years. This means networking, organizing, providing leadership, and being involved. Vote for Mary is a vote for passion, experience, and a voice for advocating for the residents of Ward 4. Thank
Come on, Becky. Becky Evison. Easton.
My name is Becky Easton. I'm running for councillor in Ward 4. Although I'm a newer resident of the Schomberg and the Ward 4 community, 12 years, a considerable amount of my youth was spent living and growing up in the township area. As a child and young woman, much of my time was spent at both my grandparents, Charlie and Ruth Grubbs, and Lauren and Ruth Reeser. My father, Brian Grubb, worked for the Township of King for over 30 years. I recognize you. Retiring as a chief building official. My husband, Craig Eveson, grew up in King City, where we lived before moving to Schomberg. Here we have welcomed 4 children, Charlie, Abby, Jack, and Ben. Craig has been a volunteer firefighter for the township for more than 20 years, as well as worked for the Township of King's Rose Department for 8 years. I worked for the Region of Peel for 10 years before leaving my position to care for my daughter, Abby. I was fortunate to be recognized for strong leadership skills and provided many different roles. These included supervisor of activation and volunteers, accreditation coordinator, and quality control specialist. In these positions, I was required to collaborate with many different staff to analyze and update policies and procedures for all of the Region of Peel long-term care homes and departments. I've been involved in our community for many years, mostly through our charity. We believe in Abby. Sorry. We have been able to support and advocate for many members of our community and local businesses. I've had the unique opportunity to be able to advocate and support the community through our charity. We've been able to work with the Township of King and advocate for an accessible playground to be built in Schomberg. And most recently, we're able to advocate for a partial sidewalk and crosswalk to be installed on Western Avenue to help ensure residents can access the park safely. I didn't get to finish, but I'm here to try and advocate for you because I believe in this community. Thank you.
Lloyd.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Simon Lloyd. I'm honored to be seeking election as your Ward 4 councillor. Thank you to the CCKT for hosting this event and to all you residents for attending. I've lived in Schomberg for 11 years. In that time, I have truly fallen in love with our community. The residents, the character of the entire area, and the events and activities that abound. I want my family and yours to continue to enjoy the lifestyle, community spirit, and opportunities that we are so fortunate to have here. I'm a father of 3 kids, and I would love for them to stay in King Township long term, with the option to live and work right here in our community when they grow up. So with that as a guide, I will always do what's best for them, or best for the long-term well-being of our community. I'm also a business owner, that being a small manufacturing company, and I'm excited to apply my business experience and business perspective, as well as my leadership fundamentals and fiscal responsibility to my role as your representative on council. I have always been active in our community, volunteering for a variety of events and committees such as Main Street Christmas, Schomberg Scarecrows, Rose of Sharon, among others. So I've got a track record of dedicating my time for the betterment of our community. In knocking on hundreds of doors over the past few weeks, I've heard many concerns from you as residents, and I'll be dedicated over the next 4 years to continue listening and provide you a strong voice at council. I look forward to working with the business community, township staff, and other levels of government as well. I'm aware of the challenges our township faces and on the road ahead and what is required to ensure our continued success. I believe that I have the skills, personality traits, and work ethic to work with all of these diverse stakeholders and perform well for you in the role of councilor. Among my top priorities once elected are to focus on amenities and infrastructure within our ward to enhance residents' active, healthy lifestyles, especially for children and seniors, as well as to apply my business perspective on council to ensure our tax dollars are being spent wisely and ensure township assets are utilized to their highest and best use. Thank you for your time this evening, and once again, I ask you to vote for Simon Lloyd as Ward 4 council.
Michael Lovasoto.
That was definitely a tough act to follow from all 3 of my competition. So my name is Michael Lovasoto, and I've lived in King Township all my life. We moved to Schomberg, I believe around 15 years ago, because my dad was sick and tired of me getting poison ivy in the forest that we lived next to. I decided to run because I feel that I am well suited to bring the right kind of change to both Ward 4 and King Township as a whole. Currently, I'm studying political science at York University. I'm in my 3rd year, and I hope to finish up real soon so I can dedicate all of my free time to all of my wonderful neighbors. And I spend any time that I'm not campaigning or at school working for my very demanding and very hardworking father. I feel very blessed to have the family that I have. My grandmother has always impressed upon me the importance of nature and healthy eating and stuff like that. My dad's always impressed upon me the importance of waking up early and making sure I get to the job site on time. But I promise that no matter what happens, I am here to support you. Even if you don't vote for me, even if you do vote for me, your needs are my concern, because I work for you. Thank you.
Moving on to Ward 3, we have Jennifer Anstey.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Anstey, and I'm running to be councillor in Ward 3. A bit about me: I am a business owner in the media industry. I'm a horse lover, lifelong. I'm an active community volunteer, and I'm an energetic leader that likes to get things done. I've been very engaged in the township over the last several years on a lot of important topics that have impacted King Township. I have spoken out against the MZO that was proposed for the Mary Lake in King City and the subsequent development requests. I reviewed and commented on King's new official plan, as well as the new rural zoning bylaw. I lobbied against the 413. I participated in workshops hosted by the province as they created their new growth plan so I could better understand that process. I analyzed and made comments on King's 2022 budget, all 332 pages of it. And I also participated in a whole bunch of other issues that impacted King. I'm experienced, I'm knowledgeable, and I'm resourceful. On top of that, as a farm owner in Ward 3, I'm passionate about protecting the countryside. I worry that without strong leadership, development will be successful in expanding our urban boundaries and taking away what our countryside that is precious and vital for our health. I'm a people person, and over the last several weeks, I've enjoyed meeting many of you and answering your questions, helping you solve problems, and providing resources that you didn't know were available to you. That's the kind of counselor I will be. I will be responsive and dedicated. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. How are you today? Good. My name is Adam Pham. I was born exactly today, 56 years ago in Hanoi, Vietnam, during Vietnam War. And I was the best student from my city, and I got scholarship to study in Ukraine, in Kiev, Ukraine. And after finishing my university, I get my education in Moscow, Russia. And when my wife and I completed PhD in Russian Academy of Education, I had many choices, and we chose Canada to go. And we applied for the Canada Federal Skilled Worker Program, and I arrived to Canada in 2001. In the first time when we arrived to Canada, it's a very, very difficult time for us because we didn't speak English, we don't understand English, we have no friend, no family member, but we work hard, we learn English, and we develop a very beautiful life in Canada. And in 2005, we bought a house in King Township. And I think, from my opinion, that Canada is the best country in the world, and we are all living in the peace of paradise in King Township. But I believe that we can do something better. And because of that, I'm running for councillor in Ward 3. I was a Vietnamese resident for many years, and I think that I am a fighter right now for our neighbor interests. And I believe that Canada gives us a lot of opportunity to feed our family and to grow, and we believe in giving back to our community. And running is the way to giving back to our community before retirement. So thank you for having me tonight, and thank you for everyone.
Thank you. Ryan Raymond, come on up.
Evening, everybody. I know it's been said, but thank you to CCKT for hosting tonight's event. This is as exciting as it is nerve-wracking being up here. So a little bit about myself. I'm a resident of Ward 3. I've lived there for roughly 12 years. But before I moved here, I came from a small town, just out in southwestern Ontario. Small is actually probably too big of a word for the town. Tiny town. Oh, there we go. Is everyone else close? There we go. Yes. Okay, a tiny town in southwestern Ontario, flat as this table, surrounded by fields with some houses, and in the center of those houses was my grandfather's store, the only store around for miles. This is where I started working at a very young age, and learned the sense of community. When the phone rang, we answered. It was a sub pump broken, get your wellies on. Miss Dumichelle broke her hip, let's go shovel some snow. Uncle John, too many lollipops and crashed his tractor in the ditch again. Well, let's go help him. So after high school, growing up in a small town, you normally want to get out as fast as you can as a young kid. So I jumped in the car and went for the summer to my uncle's house in Toronto to help him with his business, and I never went home. And attended George Brown College in Toronto. Spent a few years after college hanging around Toronto and kind of started missing that hometown that I so quickly wanted to get away from. And that's where I met my wife, who was living in King City roughly 12 years ago. And never went home, moved up to King City, and here I am. 2 amazing children, loving wife, and anyway, I'm a business owner for nearly 20 years, international business. This gives me some financial literacy, understanding budgets. I'm an event coordinator for nearly 12 years. I can deal with lots of issues at once, creativity.
You're good. Good around.
Oh, sorry. All right, thank you. My name is Ryan Raymond, Ward 3. Go.
Everybody's very fast. Is there anyone speaking? Come on up, Jacob Schneider.
4 years later, and I'm still nervous. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name, as everybody knows, is Jacob Schneider. It has been my privilege to represent residents of King Township, Ward 3, since 2018. Together, we have been able to accomplish so much in such a short amount of time. I'm running for re-election to continue the work we have set out to do. I'm proud to be a lifelong resident of Ward 3 with family history in the ward dating back to the mid-1950s. Not only do I live in the ward, but I work here as well. I'm a 4th-generation farmer here in King Township, raising crops and animals. Working and living in the ward gives me a clear perspective on the needs of my constituents. Being the King Township Ward 3 councillor is an important job that I take very seriously. Over the course of the last 4 years, I am in regular attendance at council meetings, serve on a number of key regional and township committees, and always act for the betterment of our community. I am an active board member of the York Federation of Agriculture, where I sit as director for King Township. I sit on both the King Township Sustainability and Accessibility Advisory Committees, and I am a lifelong member at St. Paul's Presbyterian Church in Overton. I have developed a strong working relationship with council members, township staff, MPP Lecce, and MP Anna Roberts, which has enabled me to deliver on the promises I made during my election campaign 4 years ago. These working relationships will lead me to accomplish my goals for the next term. I have led Ward 3 to several key accomplishments. The implementation of roadway signage, which has added benefit to the safety of our roads. I was able to have 25 kilometers of gravel roads paved in Ward 3 in under 4 years. And I work closely with upper levels of government to improve cell and internet coverage throughout Ward 3. During the next term of council, I will continue advocating to preserve farmland and promote agriculture, develop and implement traffic calming strategies within Ward 3, continue the gravel road to asphalt conversion program, continue to actively work with federal and provincial counterparts to expand internet and cell coverage, and maintain accountability to Ward 3 constituents to give budget transparency and the best value for your tax dollars. As a member of council, I am your voice for the residents of our community. I intend to continue to be that strong voice the residents have grown to trust and rely on. On October 24th, vote for trusted experience. Vote Jacob Schneider for your Ward 3 council.
And there you have the introductions. Now, one little change I'm going to make. I don't know if I told you about how you can answer your 1 minute responses to CCKT questions or questions from the audience. So I've decided I'm not going to let you guys come up to the podium because it'll waste a lot of time in the sense of, but just in those few seconds that it takes everybody to get up and sit down. So for your closing remarks, though, you are more than welcome to come up and use the podium, but just not for the answering the question. I would advise you stand up, grab the mic, be helpful to each other and pass it, and then just try to see if we can get through the answers, because then we might be able to actually do 3 or 4. Okay? So for the first question, first off, I'm going to shake up the answers. What I'm going to do is for the answers to the first question, I'm going to start with you, and we'll go that way, and then we'll start with Jennifer, and we'll go this way. Yes, you get to go first. So that's the order. We go that way, then we're going to go that way. 1 minute responses. Here's the question, and I'll say it twice. What are your top priorities for King Township and your ward specifically? Nice general question just to get things going, okay? What are your top priorities for King Township and your ward, okay? So we're going to start with Michael Lovasoto first.
Hello, everyone.
Stand up.
My key campaign promises, or the most important things to me anyway, in Ward 4 and King Township as a whole, is environmental sustainability. Sorry. I didn't swear there, sorry. Environmental sustainability, we need to keep King Township and Ward 4 nice and green.
Give me your mic, Jeff. Greg? Greg?
Hello? Hello? Everyone hear me?
Greg, give me your mic.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah, take mine. You know what? Yeah. Figure that out. There you go. Okay, put this down. My campaign promises for King Township as a whole and as for Ward 4 are environmental sustainability, environmental protection, sustainable development, and speeding in traffic in and around King Township, but more specifically Ward 4. It goes without saying that King Township has always been a nice and green place to raise your family or to work or whatever, and I want to keep it that way. We also need sustainable growth. We pay some of the highest taxes, both development fees and property taxes, in the country. That is way too crazy. I want to live here when I grow up. I want to raise my family here. I want to grow old here. I can't do that if I have to spend my entire paycheck on paying taxes. And speeding, everybody treats Schomberg like it's a racetrack. So those are my key things, and I'll pass it to whoever's next.
Is that mic working yet?
Hello? I'm sorry to read, but I'm going to read. 3 of my top priorities for this term on council are to improve amendment. No?
You need Greg's mic
Read.
the whole time. Sorry. He doesn't want to give it up.
It's hard to get a mic out of Greg Locke's hand, let me tell you. For those who know him. 3 of my top priorities for this term on council are to improve amenities and infrastructure within our ward to enhance residents' active, healthy lifestyles, especially for children and seniors. An example of this would be to improve walkability within our communities and also ensure township-owned assets are utilized to their highest and best use. Secondly, I will use my business perspective on council to ensure our tax dollars are being spent wisely, as well as attracting new businesses to the area wherever possible to increase the business tax base. In the current economic conditions where a dollar doesn't go far as it did just a short time ago, I'm adamant that we have to be very careful how township funds are managed and provide true value to you, the taxpayers. Thirdly, I will make sure to build strong relationships with the various community service organizations of our area to ensure they have the resources required to make our many community and social events, as well as Schomberg's incredible Main Street, as successful as possible. Thank you.
Hello. My top 3 things I would like to focus on is getting our youth involved in our community, having safe and accessible environment, as well as being environmentally and fiscally responsible. I'm just going to touch on how I'm starting with that with my campaign. And if you don't know how the campaign process works, is you ask for people for donations to support you. I'm known in the community for supporting many different things, the food bank, building accessible parks, things like that, and I couldn't justify in my head asking for people to donate to my campaign when I was buying waste. Your yard signs are waste, pamphlets are waste. So I took a while and looked at different ways that I could use those materials to get back to the community. So the yard signs were going to be turning into planter boxes, and my printed materials are on planted bull seed papers, and I'll be going, the youth involvement part of it in full circle as I'm going into schools and starting a kindness club with kids and using those materials for a full circle.
very hard to talk about top priorities because I feel like when you're making decisions through certain lenses, and so. But anyway, here I go. The first priority for me is really communicating, and that means being involved in my community, talking to seniors, talking to youth, and really being able to get the information out into the community and receive the feedback on different things that are happening. The second thing is really focusing on affordable housing and the kind of missing middle housing that we're missing in King Township. So how can we get that into our development plans to help our children and our seniors be able to stay in our community? And the third thing is transit. Good public transit, how do we get to Newmarket, and good walkable transit, like active transit as well. Thank you.
So my top 3 priorities for our ward, in Ward 3, well, the roads. Having spoken to many of you, the roads are the worst condition. In fact, in King's last paving report, the summary noted that the gravel roads were in the worst condition in King Township and needed the most attention. School buses are turning over on some of the gravel roads. Buses can't get up and down hills. This is a priority. Second of all would be obviously watching taxes, paying attention to the budget. Did you know that the rec center that's being built in King City, the budget went up by $10 million in July. So you know that's just going to keep going up. We need somebody who's vigilant, who can pay attention. Thirdly, the environment. This we can preserve the green space, which will also help prevent against climate change. Okay, sorry, I wrapped up quickly there. So protecting the environment and preserving against the environment is oh, she threw me off. You get the gist.
Hello again. So my priority are, the first thing is everyone pay movie tax, so they should have the fair share in service. So all the roads should be paid. And after paving the roads, all the roads should be safe and peaceful. So this is my priority. The second one, I think that all the senior who work a lot to build up beautiful country for everyone to enjoy. So this is the time to get back to senior people. And I think that we need to have more service for senior. This is the second thing I think about. And the next thing, I think we need to keep balance between the development and preserve the nature between the people need. We need to understand them to provide a better service for the people. Between the development and the preserving the nature, we need to find a solution. This is the 3 priority and focus. Thank you.
Okay, everybody. Okay, so top 3 that I'm looking to focus on. I think we're on the same page, all up here, about the general condition of the roads. I think we can all agree on that. It needs a little bit of attention. However, I did see on the King side that there's a 10-year paving plan. So there's something in place, but we can always do better. Along with the roads are the traffic issues, not just the congestion as we grow, but also speeding and dangerously passing. So I live off of Weston Road and all those major north-south arteries. I've talked to a lot of people around there, and a woman literally told me she was afraid of pulling out her driveway because, and I get it, we live on a hill and you can't see the other side of the hill, and yet people are still passing. So I think more signage, education and enforcement of these things. Housing is a big issue. I think we need to diversify the stock. Big single family homes, 5,000 square feet. It's a lot to eat, a lot to cool, and not everybody's looking for a family home. I think condos, like nice classy condos in Schomberg, would be a nice addition. Also, I've talked to a lot of elderly. We could almost do a survey here if we wanted to. That there was a lot of concern about quality retirement areas around King Township. So I think we should look into that as well.
Thank you. So top priorities are continuation from the last 4 years. So promoting and saving our agricultural landscape as well as our local businesses in the rural areas. develop traffic calming strategies for our rural roads. We have a traffic calming strategy for our village cores and our smaller roads, but we need something for the rural roads. Continue our gravel road conversion program. The last 4 years, as I said in my opening remarks, we were able to pave 25 kilometers of gravel road, which was the largest amount of asphalt coverage on gravel roads in the shortest amount of time in the township's history. And expand, we need to continue to expand our internet and cellular coverage by working with our federal and provincial counterparts, and continue budget transparency. King Township passed 2 budgets over the last 4 years that were a 0% tax increase to assist with the COVID issues and that sort of thing. So if we can continue that, I think we're on the right track. Thank you.
Thanks, Jacob. Okay, we're gonna have a yes/no question, so get ready.
No.
Feels like a game show. I'm Tom Perry, your host. Okay, do you accept donations from individuals connected to the development industry? Yes or no? Do you accept, or would you accept, I suppose, donations from individuals connected to the development industry? So you want to hand up your sign? They could be inside the township or outside the township. Anywhere.
Residents.
What are you trying to say here? Would you accept donations from individuals connected to the development industry? So basically, an individual who is representing a developer or is a developer, would you? Yes or no? So just hold it up. Okay, there you go. We are now going to ask the second CCKT question. So that was good. If we could just keep it to 1 minute, we'll get through. Maybe we could get through a third one before we get to the questions from the audience. So that was good. If we could just use that as a test. So here's the second one. What climate actions does King Township need to take in the next 5 years to change its climate action goals? Okay? I'll repeat it. What climate actions does King Township need to take in the next 5 years to achieve its climate action goals? Okay. Now this time, I'm going to start with Jacob, and I'm going to work my way just down this way. So you're number 1, and then Mary will be the last this time. Okay. So 1 minute responses from each.
I believe being involved with the King Township Sustainability Committee and our local council, I think we're on track and we're doing a darn good job, as one of our fellow councilors would say, at improving, getting to those landmarks, whether it's changing out our fleet, converting our gas and diesel powered vehicles to electric vehicles that are just running within the town limits, changing windows, which we did in our Nobleton Fire Station to improve efficiency. Our new township office on King Road is heated by geothermal ground source heat pump. Our new rec center that's being built at 15th and Dufferin Street is going to be what we call LEED standard building, so it's going to have all the latest and greatest. So I think King Township is already on track to meeting our goals. Thank you.
Thank you. I actually have to agree with Jacob on pretty much everything he just said. I did listen to the climate plan on the website. It seems pretty good. I think it makes me happy to know that 98% of our lands, according to the development package, is pretty much protected by 4 plans. One idea I'd like to explore, I don't even know if it's possible, I'm not a home developer or anything, but I understand why we can't just put a solar panel and backup battery in your garage to help with those, peak hours, to take off some of the energy from the energy grid. I don't know if that's a possibility, and it may not help with the short-term 5 years, but it's something that we can look into and explore and see if that can help us take some of the strain off the energy grid.
So Canada is the Canada is the second biggest country in the world, and it produces only about 2% of emission. The King Township is the biggest township in the York region, and the King Township is a smaller population here. So I think the best thing we can do for improve our is to lead by example, to make our township is the best eco-friendly township in Canada. Right? This is only the way to make everyone to follow it, to make us the best township, to educate people, to let them know that we need to reduce use of energy, to cut plastic bag, to use the less water, to make everyone happy with the new lifestyle, new norm, right? To make it reserved for the new next generation. This is the only way we can do. Thank you.
So it's a fabulous first step that King does have a climate action plan, and they have come up with a number of strategies that can be addressed within the township. The electric vehicle sites, the geothermal use in the new rec center, replacing the windows, electric vehicle fleet, etc. However, the plan doesn't have any specifics. It doesn't say how we're going to address various issues. It doesn't say what numbers, what we're going to achieve. So right now, we don't actually know if we're on track because we don't know where we're starting from or how the fixes that they've come up with are going to impact. So the next step is coming in Q2, and I really look forward and working with staff to figure out how it is we're going to address that problem so that we have an effective plan moving forward.
Thanks. Michael is just asking for clarification of the question, so I'll just read it once and quickly, okay? For the benefit of those who haven't answered. What climate actions does King Township need to take in the next 5 years to achieve its climate action goals?
Hello, everyone, again. I think, generally speaking, I think King Township's current plan, as I think everybody else has espoused, it's in the right direction. Personally, I've gone around Schomberg all my life. I've been to Ward 3, 4, and we're pretty green in that sense. I love to see the forests and the trees and all that stuff. The only thing I can think of is building more in terms of with nature as opposed to against nature. If you've ever been on Roslena, there's 2 beautiful trails behind all the houses, and I'd like to see just a little bit more of that.
So I think some of the things we can do would include creating and expanding walkable residential areas. That would include traffic calming, so that we would drive less. Utilizing employment lands, which may sound counterintuitive, but it would allow jobs to be closer to home. We wouldn't have to drive. We could ensure high-speed internet to all areas of the township, which would help reduce and eliminate commuting times. Additionally, I think township building codes could be looked at. So standards should maybe be more flexible to accommodate newer technologies that could lower our overall carbon footprint. An example of that would be a technology called massive timber frame construction that I've looked into a little bit. It's being used more throughout the world. It avoids the use of concrete in larger buildings. We should be progressive in our relationship with the broader free market and look for creative ways to assist our residents and businesses to reduce their own carbon footprints.
Hello. Okay, I have seen positive changes in King Township to help reduce this, but I do not believe anywhere in the world is on track, which is why this is such a big issue. Installing the EV charging station, carpool parking lots, and education sessions about EVs are critical to the success of reaching our goal. I do believe that increased safety measures to make walking more viable are critical if we want to encourage our residents to leave their cars at home and walk. In Schomberg specifically, many students are driven to school because parents don't feel safe, drive them walking to school because of crosswalks. I believe in looking at traffic calming crosswalks, sidewalks, and designated bike lanes. I also think looking at opportunities to work with York Region for bike lanes on regional roads, since that is how our communities are connected. And I believe Cottageville would be where to advocate for this first, since the regional road goes right through the town. Thank you.
I hope I can read read my own writing here. So I don't think we're anywhere on track to meet the goals that the township has set out for the year 2050. I've got a whole list of things here. We have to complete the community climate action plan and have village committees to implement it. We need to require stronger green building standards and create green infrastructure standards. We need to protect mature trees and plant more. We need to support retrofits of housing, support development of complete communities, and we need to develop local alternative energy infrastructure and develop public transit.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna do another yes, no. Get ready. We're gonna do a couple, okay? Here's the second yes, no. Do you oppose the construction of Highway 413? Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you oppose the construction of Highway 413? Put them way up. Everybody way up. Okay. So we have one abstain. All right. So there we go. So you can lower now. We're going to do one more. Hold on, where's my questions? Okay, here's another one. Get ready, guys. Do you support a full environmental impact assessment for the Bradford Bypass? Do you support a full environmental impact assessment for the Bradford Bypass? Yes or no? Everybody got one? You don't know? I can't make you put up a sign. You're abstaining. Well, we're learning from this. This is the first time we've done this. Okay, guys, there you go. All right, here is the third CCKT question. I think after this one, we're going to turn it over to the audience because it is 8 o'clock now, but I think you'd like to get through 3 questions. Do you want to go to the audience now? You do? Okay. Let's do that. All right. So I'll tell you what. If you want to come up one at a time and line up, you'll be able to ask your questions. I remind you that I only want a 30, maybe tops 40-second question. We're not looking for you to give your opinion. We're looking for these people to give their opinion. So please make it a question. And candidates each have 1 minute to respond, okay? And a 15-second bell like before. Okay, does anybody want to come up and ask a question? So please come up to the mic.
I'd like to ask whether the mic is loud enough and working. Is that good?
Howdy, here's your first question from the audience. With a little introduction, allow me, Greg. In late 2020 and the first part of 2021,
try to get about like maybe 2-3 inches from the mic.
In late 2020 and early 2021, King Township Council came very close to setting a solution for seniors' health care in King Township. My question to you is, what alternative process to a planning bylaw should be used to define, shape, and scope senior services, both community-based and facility accommodation? So, again, my question, what is your approach to defining King Township's approach to determining senior services, both community-based and institutional accommodation? My introduction? My introduction in late 2020 and early 2021, King Township Council came very close to introducing a solution for senior services in King Township through a planning application for one piece of property. No investigation, alternative assessment, original analysis of what the needs are. We came very close to achieving an outcome from a planning application. So my question to you is, what other process is there?
It was a private seniors center, is that a seniors care center?
Yeah, it was.
You're talking about Mary Lake, Tom?
Nobody knows what you're talking about. Tell them what you're,
Well,
tell them what you're asking about. 'Cause it's all we can't.
Tom, you're speaking about the Mary Lake application, am I right?
I am.
Okay.
But it was a planning application, an application for a planning permit that shaped the future of seniors programming in King, and council came very close to approving it. What alternatives are there outside of a planning permit?
So by the way, anyone can, you don't have to answer the question. If he's addressed it to all candidates, you don't have to answer. If you have, I would suggest if you don't have an opinion, don't worry about it. Let's just not waste the air. If you have an opinion, definitely put up your hand and we'll let you answer, okay? So we'll let Jennifer go and then we'll let you.
Okay. So what Tom is talking about was the original NZO request for the property in Mary Lake, where they were going to put a long-term care home. It happens to be a property with provincially significant wetland, and so the community was opposed to it. The second part of Tom's question was about how would we address senior care within King Township. Council approved a roundtable with the community and was going to approach the group about saying, oh, how can we solve long-term care and senior care, which we are woefully lacking in this township. But that roundtable hasn't happened. It hasn't been convened. So it would be a great idea to do that, to engage the community, to engage our seniors and say, how would you like to see this problem addressed in our township?
Thank you. So just to clarify, King Township staff, in fact, did not receive a building application for that project at Mary Lake. There was discussion about it, but there was, in fact, no application to the township. But that doesn't solve our problem. We need desperately either long-term care homes or seniors residents in the township. We have the nursing home in King City, which is not enough. We have the seniors building in Nobleton on Wilson, still not enough. We have to involve different levels of government to get things rolling. Yes, we are working forward with getting this roundtable going. That discussion happened in the middle of COVID, so it was kind of tough. Even though we have our technical ways of communicating, it was tough to get that in motion. But involving the region and the province, I think we can get things going. Thank you.
I'm privileged to have my grandmother still with me. She lives in the Chestnut Manor residence on 32 Main Street. And I just went to see her today because she's got a bug problem and a solitaire problem. But anyway, to add on to Mr. Schneider's point, we don't have enough either assisted living or long-term care facilities. Did mention the two, one in Nobleton and one in King City, but there's also the one that I live across from, the Kitchen Manor on Rosalina. I think that we need to maybe not invest in such a significant spot like Mary Lake, but invest in a plan that addresses both the needs in an area that isn't so historically important and environmentally important.
So quite a few years ago, before the old arena in Schomberg became a Parks Depot, there was talk of that becoming a seniors home. I don't know if that was actually really considered or not. But something I mentioned in one of my answers previously was to utilize township assets for the highest and best use. And perhaps that could be, highest and best use could be some township properties, not, for sure not the township running a senior center or a senior's home or anything like that, but to lease out the land or you know, sell it somehow, lease it off somehow to make that the highest and best use. So that's one thing that
Hello. I have a background in long-term care, having worked for the Region of Appeals long-term care for 10 years. If I were to go to a route to support this, I would definitely look at having a regional home be brought into the area. It's more cost-effective for the residents living there, and there's subsidies for the residents. They also have programs called adult day services. So it's an area for adults to go before they're ready for long-term care, but the family needs respite. And I see many families in our community that are trying to care for their own parents because there isn't somewhere close for them to be able to take their family members to for that respite. Like, I've even had people ask me to provide respite for their family members. So that I would definitely bring that to York Region as a possible thing that we can move forward with.
I think in terms of seniors, we also have to think about seniors that are not ready for a senior's home or assistance, but the seniors that are looking for smaller places to live and being able to stay in their communities. So I'd be really supporting affordable housing, smaller housing, and retaining the small housing that we already have.
Great. Now, usually we have a line of people waiting, so I would ask if you have a question, just come on up to the mic. Come on up.
Okay. So short people have to have it down front. Linda Jessup, and
Linda Jessup, I'm sorry, Linda Jessup.
I was a former counselor here in Ward 4.
Yeah, that's right, you were.
So I know what you're all facing. Anyway, my question is to Ward 4, all 4. I think Mary mentioned the development that's a possibility on Main Street, across from the community hall. I'd like to know how the 4 would address if this continues to come before council, what your implications would be. I certainly, if there's going to be a development, it has to fit in, and I certainly don't want to see that whole front yard paved as a pavement. So I'd just like to know, if you become councillor and this comes before you, how are you going to deal with it? Thank you.
So the property in question is, there's an application for a 6+ story condominium development just off the main street. The land is currently zoned for a 3-story apartment building, so that is kind of already like quasi-approved at that level. There's a lot of problems with that particular site. There are problems of privacy, there's problems of traffic, there's problems of pedestrian safety, there's problems of impact during construction, and there's also problems associated with the impacts on the Dufferin Marsh, which it abuts right up to. So in my mind, it's not a great place for development of the sort, and I'd prefer to see something more creative, like some kind of pocket neighborhood housing or something along those lines. But having said that, I do understand that a 3-story condominium development could be approved for that property.
Okay. I think that Schomberg obviously is growing, and we have seen that. There has been opportunities. I think the address is 207 on Main Street, where they have the businesses below and put the apartments above. And I think they did a great job of being able to incorporate the look of it in with the way that the town is characterized. It's hard to say if I'm for or against. There's so many different reasons that are benefit to the community and negatives for the community. Obviously, the environment with the marsh being right there, the safety, but there is a lot of people in the community looking for affordable housing, and if we do have a building of that type put in, it will provide more younger people to be able to continue to stay within the community.
So I agree with that. We were actually on a call last night about architectural standards. So the township is already in the process of getting some really impressive architectural standards. So that I don't know if the character of the building will be an issue. However, the traffic will be. So from what I understand, it's a real chess match between developers and the township and council. They go back and forth between, the developers obviously want to maximize the number of units and the height, and the town and us that are going to be affected by it want to minimize that and mitigate that. So I am definitely for more affordable housing. However, we have to be careful that it doesn't make Main Street even a crazier place than it already is. So that's it.
I'm for the development, and I'm sure everybody's going to be scandalized by that, but I think that you need to have some development. Coming from a construction background, I know that he, or whoever's building it, I shouldn't have assumed gender there, I know that they have to follow certain guidelines. I also know that they have to comply with zoning regulations. I'm not concerned about the marsh, partially because the marsh is so far back away from where the back of the building is supposed to sit. And I think that generally speaking, like my counterparts have said, that it is an opportunity to increase the density and increase in the affordability of Schomberg.
Okay, now, if any of Ward 3 candidates are familiar with the application and you have a similar comment, you're welcome to do so. If not, we'll just move on, okay? All right, it's time for a yes or no question. No, stop the mic, just hold on just for a sec. No, it's okay. You got one more yes or no question, you're welcome to stay there. Okay, so the yes or no question is, and it's another one of those longer ones. However, basically it says, will you protect the Greenbelt against conversions to employment and commercial development, such as at the interchange of King Road and Highway 400? Okay, think about that one. Will you protect the Greenbelt against conversions to employment and commercial development, such as at the interchange of King Road and Highway 400? Which side? King Road and Highway 400. What side? Well, I know that there's the southeast and there's the west side and then there's the southeast, right? I know that for sure.
Is that an example or is that?
That was one example. Yeah, King Road and Highway 400. There are others, but it's a preeminent one that we have been on our radar scope at CCKT for some time.
Yeah, hold your hands up. Yeah, you got
Okay.
words.
You will protect the Greenbelt. Okay. Okay, there we go. Question from the audience.
Good evening, my name is Alicia Richards. I'm actually the chair of the library board in here in King. If you have any questions, come talk to me after the meeting. Oh, sorry. I live in Ward 3, actually really close to Jacob, third generation, give or take. I want to know what you're going to do to protect the farmland from all those mega mansions that keep getting built, because I want to farm that land for the rest of my life and I want my kids to farm it. So, yeah.
Okay, so you're addressing it to all candidates?
Mostly Ward 3.
Mostly Ward 3.
But, yeah.
If they want to answer, they'll be able to do it at the end.
Yeah, but we want to farm, and if you don't protect it, we're not going to be able to.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, the order I'm going to do it is, how about we go with Mr. Pham first, then we'll go with Ryan, then we'll go with Jacob, and then Jennifer. How's that? So, we'll do the talk at. There we go.
So I believe that, so we do have enough farmland now to keep. and we need to keep it for future generation. And to the big future for the farm in the near future, because we are close to the market. We need the organic food, right? We need the food security. I am in position to keep the farmland, and I'm positioned that we need to have some science center to encourage every farmer to be the organic farm, right? To help people have the healthy food and to develop our neighborhood more green and more healthy. This is my position.
Well, I agree, we just gotta keep our farmland, almost that any way possible. It's a little tough for you saying if someone buys the land and wants to build their property on it, or did you go, or just changing all farms into like subdivisions? I don't know, both. Well, I would assume subdivisions in Ward 3 are almost a no-go, infrastructure and the large swaths of land and private property. I definitely would not approve any sort of large development within the area. And I agree, we just got to sometimes say no. It's time for, we gotta keep on.
Thanks for the question, Alicia. As everybody knows, I farm. I farm approximately 500 acres within Ward 3 and Ward 2 and Ward 4. And I actually had a meeting, Councillor Eek and I attended a meeting roundtable on Monday, I think it was, with the Minister of Agriculture, and this was a question. You look at Ward 3, you look at the marsh, different areas around the township, people are buying up the property and they're building, well, 6,000 square foot house is small now. So to restrict that, we as a township council, it's pretty hard. We as council do not approve building building permits per se. That goes through a committee of adjustment. So to involve our provincial counterparts would be the way that we go to limit the size of housing and the type of housing in certain areas throughout the rural areas of Canada. Thank you.
So in order to preserve our farmland, we really need to make sure that the Oak Ridges Moraine Act and the Greenbelt Act remain strong. And we do that by advocating to our province to make sure that they understand that we are against the development on that very important land. The Oak Ridges Moraine Act does have very specific guidelines about how big you can build. It does take the staff at King in the planning department to limit that the applications that they do approve. So that is my position. I want to support farmers by helping the Oak Ridges Moraine and the Greenbelt remain strong to keep our environment safe.
Any of you are welcome to respond. Michael had let me know that you wanted to give a comment, but you're also welcome to give a comment.
When I was a young lad, lost my name tag, but you all know who I am anyway. When I was a very young child, my family purchased a property on Weston Road and 15th Side Road that is currently a farm. I've known for many years, that's where we have our shop in construction, and I've known for many years that it's very difficult currently to build on that land, and I like to see that. I want to see Ward 3 and anywhere else where there is farms. I want to see them stay farms. I want my kids to be able to drive by and say, oh look, corn, or something like that. As long as the Greenbelt and the Oak Ridges Moraine is respected, I doubt that there will ever be a serious need to legislate or to bylaw something in the manner of let's not build another 10,000 square foot mansion.
Great, thank you. We have another question.
Yes. My name is Katie Konstantopoulos. I've lived in Ward 4, Schomberg, for about 20 years now, 2 decades. I have a question that kind of comes from my experience of being a young person in Schomberg. Is that a little better? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So my question is, what are all of the candidates' plans for engaging with youth in our township? Because right now we've kind of acknowledged that a lot of young people are leaving. A lot of young people can't afford to live here. A lot of young people are, talking about their lack of public space and the lack of involvement in how their public space is designed. And so my question is, how do you want to see young people get involved at municipal council and elsewhere in the township? Thank you.
How about we start with the end of the table, and then we'll start with the end of that table in the middle. How's that? So would you like to start? You have something to say about this.
Youth is such an important question because they're the future of our board in King Township. And I know that there's a lot of youth out there that have been complaining that nobody's talking to them when parks are being developed, and nobody's talking to them when subdivisions are being developed. And they need housing, and they need facilities that are actually useful for them. So what I would plan to do is really open up communication with the youth sector. And one of the ideas that we had was to have youth tours where we would tour around the community, and they could talk about what they want and need in their community and have a really open forum with them. Another idea that I have is to have youth evenings at council where youth are invited to come in and give deputations every once in a while on any topic of their choice, and then open the eyes of council to see what youth really want. Is that it?
Hello. One of the things I'm striving for is having our youth involved in our community, because I do believe that they need to be involved to be able to care for our community. I'm kind of looking at the younger generation right now, just because that's what I'm involved in. I think you're talking more like
Everybody.
everybody.
I want kid-friendly, streets. I want youth-friendly streets.
Okay.
I want everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So my goal is to get involved in the schools, to talk about how we can support our community, like the food bank, different charities. I am working on starting a kindness club with children or older youth that again are going to be supporting our local charities. I've spoken to a few charities already to see how we can be involved to support them with children, that is appropriate for children to be involved in those things. And I'm also hoping to put together, since I've done special events, it's always difficult to find volunteers, to have a list of people that are interested in volunteering at special events, youth, and just have, here we go, we're ready to volunteer and help support your event within the community.
So I guess twofold in terms of youth. One would be how to make youth more comfortable in the community or more engaged in the community. Good job of that, with a lot of community groups. But a really important factor to improve upon is more amenities. So as you said, more sidewalks, traffic calming so that it's safe for kids to go out into the roads is super important. And then the second factor for youth is getting them more involved, engaged in maybe government, the government aspect of it. And to do that, I've seen other municipalities that have like a youth council or a youth councilor, kind of an honorary position that would kind of attract that youth interest. And also, I was thinking of doing like a community committees. So and that could probably be represented, some youth representation on those as well. Thank you.
I guess I'm technically covered under the youth question as one of, if not the youngest person here. It's difficult to get involved. You don't know where to start. So I think that we can work with the schools to encourage youth to come out and watch either the discourse or the debate at the King Council Chamber. And I think that both Simon and Mary brought up a good point. We could even enter into some kind of youth council. And so we consult with our community's youth in order to build a better Schomberg, or better King Township, I should say, that fits with everybody's needs, not just the voting age.
So interestingly enough, on the way home from school tonight, my son asked me, who's now cowering in the corner, why I thought it was important for him to come tonight, because he said, I can't vote, why does it matter? And I thought, geez, you know, that's exactly why you need to come. We need you to be engaged. We need the kids to be part of our community. I do love Mary's idea of having kids to council. What a fabulous way to introduce to them how to participate in your community. I was also talking to a friend of mine the other day who's a teacher, and their school offered had a similar Q&A style at their high school, and the mayors, the candidate mayors came in and they had a question and answer period. Another great way to engage our youth. So lots of great ideas. And I already mentioned I like the kids on council. Okay.
So we are living the second biggest country in the world, and we are entering the housing crisis. This is young generation right now, hit very hard for the housing price. And I think that very difficult for them to afford any house. The secondly, in rural area can be a healthcare hub for senior with a lot of job. I think we can find a way to help young generation to have something to cover their roof, and to something to cover their head, and to have a good job when they can stand on their own foot. I believe that they're going to involve in any activities outside family. This is my opinion.
Okay, so two things. Clearly you have, you're vocal, and I think attending council with some of your friends and being involved in those decisions and seeing all the future plans that are coming up and having your opinion heard at council is definitely important. Another one, I would say, after councils are elected, is there still canvassing, still getting the finger on the wall, still getting out there and talking to people in the community? I don't know if that's true, or I don't know if there's still that constant feedback from people in the town. So I think after you're elected, it's not you're elected and then let's just go and vote some issues. I think there should still be out in the country, out and knocking on doors, getting that general vibe, attending events, setting a tent, whatever it is, and just being there to constantly communicate and get that feedback from people. And I actually like the youth council idea of having a position representative of the youth council within council. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Katie, for the question. Going off of your comment, Ryan, once you start talking to the public, you never stop talking to the public. Once you're on council, you're really talking to the public. 4 years ago, when I was first elected on council, I was one of, I am the second youngest member of council at 25 when I first got on. And you'd be amazed at the number of young people that actually got out to vote because of my age. I have to be careful because my mother's in the room, but I have my 16-year-old cousin who's in the room right now, and that's just another way of, younger members on council tend to draw younger members of the public to events, whether it's a council meeting, whether it's a public information session, that it just works. Thank you.
I think this is going to be our last question, because we're going to then get to the summary statements from each candidate. So please, what is your question?
Good evening. My name is Jillian Vivona. I'm the president of the King Vaughan Provincial Liberal Association. I was a former candidate for King Vaughan, so I don't live in the community yet, but I do have a question because I learned quite a bit about King Vaughan. I love the diversity of it, but I haven't really quite heard this issue discussed yet tonight, which is, if you could please state your priority, if you are elected, what would be your priority to address for rural residents, and how would you envision doing that?
Okay, so what is your priority for rural residents, and how would you achieve that? There?
Priority issue, yes.
Okay, all right, so you know, this time, I think I'm gonna go this way. Yeah, I'll go this way, starting, Michael, and then I'll go that way.
I'm not exactly clear on the question, but I'll take a stab at it anyway. I think my number one priority for rural residents, as Ward 3 is more of the rural area, is just protecting the land, protecting farmland, protecting the horse pasture land, whatever that would be called. I think it's just making the rural the people who live in rural areas not feel like they're in the middle of nowhere. That's why, as a candidate for Ward 4, I'm going to try very hard to make sure that everybody in Ward 4, not just the people in Schomberg, get a voice. I think that it's important that we protect the land and make sure that the people that live on that land are heard.
So agriculture is always a very big part of King's history and future. So the primary focus would be to protect those lands. Any densification that has to happen as our population grows, I think we should limit it to the urban areas. So we need to protect those rural properties. Also, a priority for me will be to get high-speed internet at all the rural properties. We'll have to be working with the provincial government, federal government, and the internet service providers. So that's definitely a priority to get high-speed internet throughout the township. Thank you.
Sorry, were you asking about keeping rural residents as rural, or like how we're going to support people in the rural community?
What is a major issue for you that you would want to address for rural residents? Because we talk a lot about the town and development, and I've heard farms mentioned, but when we talk about the whole thing, is that clarified for you?
I think a big issue of our rural residents is the roads. Is that kind of what you mean? Like what we're going to support is having the roads paved. I know a lot of issues with the roads when they're graded. People have a lot of issues with the potholes and stuff like that. And I know that King does have a plan in place, working on the roads to have them paved and move forward with that. And I know that is a big issue for a lot of the rural community within King Township is the roads. So I think that should be a priority to focus on for those community members.
Thank you for the question. I think one of the things I heard at the door loud and clear was good cell reception and internet access so people can work from home. Another thing is like effective transit, so public transit, so that people can get around without using their cars, and connections to the communities. So how are they going to connect to the communities both in a transit way and in an active transit way? And the other is traffic itself. Just traffic calming in the rural communities is a really important issue. And of course, I would also be promoting and supporting protection of the Greenbelt and the Oak Ridges Marine.
So I previously addressed that rural residents are really interested in roads, and I am super passionate about protecting our environment. So I'll move on to another topic, which is to support farmers by driving up more agribusiness. We've got lots of community businesses around, from equestrian facilities to art markets to farmers markets, and we've got millions of people right around us, but I don't feel that we do a good enough job of advertising that to them. For example, in the community next door, they have an entire website just dedicated to, hey, day trippers, you can come up to our community and we've got a timetable for you. This is where you can go. These are the great activities that you can do. So I would like to do that for King. let's tell people about these great farms that we've got and support them.
So people move to rural area because they prefer rural lifestyle, and I support that. But I hear at the door from a lot of neighbors that they prefer to have the second unit for the kid because they are get older and they need to have a support. And the kid need to have a job and need to have something to cover their roof, their head. And I support that too. I think that we need to have the condition for the people to keep the balance between the nature and the people need to make people life better for future. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, roads for me is an issue, but not just necessarily the shade we pave and make it better for driving. But I've already said it, the safety of the roads. Almost 6 out of 10 people I spoke to, without being prompted, came up with a story about how they almost got in an accident on the road by people passing, people in the driveways, just erratic driving. It's just, you shouldn't feel unsafe just driving on your roads and trying to pull out of your house. We need to definitely address that. Another issue that was brought up to me by a few people, and I don't know the feasibility, but I'd definitely like to look into it, is extending some natural gas lines. Propane is getting pretty darn expensive, and there's been a lot of people in my area that the line goes pretty close to it, but then it's not extended. So I'm not sure the feasibility of that, but I definitely for sure would like to look into that.
Thank you. So as previously explained, my priorities are developing traffic calming strategies, continuing our gravel road conversion program, expanding internet cell coverage through the help of the province and the feds. Specifically, I guess Jennifer kind of hit a nerve with the agricultural business. So we only have 3 dairy farms left in King Township, and the 3 actually reside in Ward 3. And there's actually one that's going to be shutting down before the end of the year. So we need to do something to attract. I know our business, our economic development officer works tirelessly trying to come up with different ideas to retain these businesses, but we need to do more. Whether it's helping out the Beretta Farms, JJ Meats, whatever it is, we need to retain these agribusinesses within the township. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I'm very, very sorry, but we weren't going to get through our agenda.
One question to Mr. Jacob. No one else has to answer.
Yes.
Okay, what is it? Okay, quick.
I'd like to know why the 12th concession was excluded from the official road plan.
Can you go closer to the microphone?
I'd like to know why the 12th concession was excluded from the official road plan. I want to know why the 12th concession is excluded from the official road plan.
Thank you for that question. Because on my list of top roads was the 12th, the 19th, which previous Councillor Papps is sitting in the back of the room, and there's a number of other roads that are on my top priority list. But as a council, we rely on our staff. We guide them to what the residents are asking for, but then we have to adhere to engineering standards and guidelines.
That's not the question. You have not, it's excluded totally. It's not shown on the plan, period.
Okay, so back in the spring, I proposed to council to revisit our road conversion program, which that is...
Never mind, I've heard it so often.
Let him answer.
Okay, answer. Go ahead, sorry, I apologize.
Thank you. So we have paved 25 kilometers in 4 years. It's, as the mayor and the rest of council has explained, all the gravel roads will eventually be converted. It's just a matter of time and funding.
You won't pave it, you don't put it on the schedule. It's not there. Like 12th concession isn't in King, it's gone. According to your road people, it's gone.
So they are revisiting the road conversion program to separate it from our paving program to include on the new plan to include all the gravel roads.
Okay, I'm going to introductory if you don't mind.
Forget it.
You guys can chat about this
Yeah,
after.
never mind.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks. Okay, so that's the end of our audience participation section. You will have a chance to talk to all the candidates afterwards, by the way. We are going to do our closing statements by each candidate. I'm gonna start from this end this time and just go this way. So you have 1.5 minutes this time to do your closing statement, okay? And because we are a bit behind schedule, so I would ask you to try to keep it just to that 1.5 minutes, okay? So, what do you get to speak?
Thank you. I want to thank CCKT for providing the opportunity for all the willing candidates to speak tonight. This has been a very informative meeting for our residents, and I want to especially thank all our residents for coming out and supporting your candidates. The hard work I've accomplished the last 4 years is just the start. We have so much more to do. At a time where our climate is at the forefront, we need trusted experience to guide us through and make the tough decisions that will benefit each and every one of us. Ward 3 is the largest geographical ward in the township with the smallest population. It takes having a strong voice for Ward 3 residents to get things done. From looking after residents' concerns, bylaw complaints, to getting the largest number of gravel roads paved in the shortest amount of time in the township's history. I have gained the trust from residents and provided results. I have what it takes to get things done. I look forward to another term on council to continue what we have started and work for you, the residents, as your voice on council. On October 24th, vote for trusted experience, vote Jacob Schneider to be your Ward 3 councillor. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. I just want to say thanks for attending tonight. Thank you to CCKT for hosting this event. Nerves got the best of me tonight, folks. I apologize. A lot of bumbling. Thanks for following me along. I promise next time you see me, I will be much more confident and a little more prepared. So I'll speak to you all after. Feel free to ask any questions. Pretty good with the one-on-one. Thank you.
Wherever you like.
So you are here tonight. It means that you care. You care about the side of the government. You care about the good representation. You care about the tax wise you tackle that. So I think that your presence tonight is the big thing to show all of us that we need to work harder to serve people, because people prefer better service, better quality of life. And I am nature fighter. I have the financial freedom, and I think that I can be bought. I try to work hard to serve every one of you. If I'm going to be elected, I try to put all my energy to work on your behalf. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I echo everybody else's sentiments. Thank you, CCKT, for hosting this. It's so informative and appreciated. Thanks to the candidates. It's really tough to put your names out there, and I have a better appreciation for that now. And of course, thanks to all of you. Your votes will shape this town's future, and they're really important to us. I'm also a farm owner in King Township. I've got a family background in Ward 3 since the 60s, and I'm really eager to see that rural character maintained for generations to come. As your councillor, I will diligently represent your interests on council, and having spoken with many of you, I know that we share the same values. We want to safeguard King Township from sprawl, we want to protect the farmland, and we want to have open green spaces. We also want to make sure our taxes don't rush out of control. So I will monitor the budget that King Township presents. For example, did you know that township staff has stated that the town's budget will need to increase by 4% every year for the next 4 years? Without strong leadership on that council and knowledgeable intervention, that'll require significant tax increases. So I will be Ward 3's strong voice on council. I'm experienced, I'm knowledgeable, I'm resourceful, I'm dedicated, and I'm responsive. Thank you.
It's the end of the night. Sorry. So, first off, I want to thank everybody for coming here. A lot more people came than I expected, and needed to change out the room when I get home. I'm just going to touch on my key points again. I want to focus on sustainable development. I don't want to see another massive gargantuan subdivision. I want to see proper development with local considerations. I want to see environmental protection, strengthening the Greenbelt and the Oakers moraine that we already have, and maybe putting in some new stuff to protect our marshes and our wetlands. And I want to give a voice to the people in the rural areas. That was a question I think before. And the final thing that I want to focus on that's going to be my top priority is speeding in traffic. People treat the roads in Schomberg especially, I know because I live here, they treat it like a racetrack, and that's utterly ridiculous, especially in front of the school. I've heard from a number of residents that they used to go walking and now they can't because people just love to disobey traffic laws. And so if that means I gotta go and stand out there with a slow sign, I'm gonna do it. I've already spoken to my bosses. I'm going to defer my education, and I'm going to quit work if that's what I'm required to do. I'm here to work for you, not for anybody else.
Just like to reinforce my desire to represent you all on council. It would be my honor and privilege. I would also point to my variety of experience as a business owner, as well as my dedicated volunteering throughout our community, which positions me as a well-rounded choice in my capacity as your Ward 4 council. It would truly be a pleasure to represent such a great community on council. I will work collaboratively with all stakeholders in our community and all levels of government to get things accomplished in Ward 4 and throughout the township. I promise to be a committed and dedicated voice on your behalf. I ask for your support on October 24th, and I ask that you vote for Simon Lloyd as your Ward 4 councillor. Thank you to CCKT and Bruce and thank you, Greg. Thank you very, very, very much to you all genuinely for coming in. Thank you.
When you go to cast your vote, why are you going to check the box that says Becky Eason? I'm not an expert in everything. However, I strongly believe in teamwork, respect, and collaboration. A counselor isn't meant to do this job themselves. They are public servants and must be willing to ask and receive input from people they represent. What you need to know is, and what I can promise, is that when issues, concerns, and priorities of our community are brought to my attention, I can work with staff, council colleagues, the region, and whoever I need to help them understand the importance of those issues, concerns, and priorities for our ward. I am passionate about the people that live here. I support a caring, inclusive, and giving community. And I look forward to working with each of you to ensure we can continue making Ward 4 a community we all want to live and grow old in. A safe place to raise a family and inspire future generations to realize this community is a desirable place to create memories and share our lives with one another. Thank you.
So I want to thank everybody for taking the time this evening to come out. It's really appreciated by all the people that are sitting up here. And I want to thank CCKT and Greg Log for their capable running of this event tonight. I believe that we can have safe, walkable communities that connect recreation, businesses, and services. I believe we can have access to diverse and affordable housing. I believe that we can protect the heritage neighborhoods, character of our communities. I believe that we can have public transit and active transportation that connects our communities. I believe that we can protect the natural environment both within our communities and in our countryside. I believe that we can reduce carbon emissions and plan our communities with climate change impacts in mind. I believe that we can have meaningful local employment and a strong business base. I believe that we can support our agricultural sector. I believe that we can support our marginalized residents. I believe that we can set priorities to keep the tax rate low. Every decision I make as your counselor will consider these beliefs. I believe in King Township. Vote for Mary for Ward 4.
That was fantastic. What a great show. I must say, I'm really happy to see her come out. Now, before Bruce comes up, you got to hear something from me, because I'm shameless in terms of promotion. I want to talk to you about CCKT for a second. I want to just let you know that we are not some government-funded organization. I don't even think we're a registered charity. We survive based on our memberships. To put on functions like this, we're going to have another one in King City tomorrow for the other two wards. We invest in our community. We rely on you, and this is sort of the telemarketing pitch, which is, hey, if you think this is valuable, would it be a big deal if you got a membership for 1 year for $20? Would that be a big deal? I don't think it's a big deal. And for that membership, you get to have events like this. You also get to have a very well maintained and informative website that I think is excellent, that is interactive, where you can put in your comments, see the comments of other people. We have an organization that welcomes new members. We have an organization that looks for new board members. We welcome youth. We would love to have a youth representative on our board. We would love to have a youth subcommittee. We would love that. So when you talk about supporting youth in King Township, we are totally open for that. So what I want to point out is that Jill is our lovely woman at the table in the back. If you happen to have $20 floating around in your pocket that's burning a hole in it, we'd love to take it from you, but we also have applications, and we have the ability for you to sign up on our website with PayPal. So it's really easy to become a member. And I just want to leave that with you to think about that, because it's because of that it's that funding that allows us to continue this activity. And my last point is, remember, despite the fact we've been around 50 years, we are you. We are members of the community that are concerned, and that's why we're here. We do, hopefully, and through events like this, we try to reflect the issues that you find of importance. And that's why we hope you found this evening really helpful. So thanks very much for coming out.
I'm sorry, but acronyms are my big peeve. And not a lot of new people know what CCKT. I don't think you...
Oh, Concerned Citizens of King Township. We should have a big flag behind us. Anyway, I'll turn it back over to Bruce. Thanks, everybody. I've enjoyed it.
Greg, thank you. I'm not good at pitches about membership and donations and all that kind of stuff. So I really appreciate that a lot. I wanted to, Greg mentioned the website, and part of this tonight is related to a questionnaire that went out to candidates about 3 weeks ago. Candidates can probably tell me anyway. We really increased their workload with this questionnaire. Anyway, go to cckt.ca and look for King Votes, and you'll find responses from most of the candidates who are here today. And take a look at that. A lot of it would be reinforced with what was said. I also can say this has been a tremendous turnout tonight, one of the best I've ever seen, and I appreciate that a lot. I wanted to just say a quick word to the candidates themselves. I've learned quite a bit about all of you tonight, things I didn't know, things that you believe in strongly, and I encourage all of you to stay involved in your community. I mean, obviously we're going to have one counselor from Ward 4 and one from 3, but you've all got so much to offer, and I know that you're engaged in different ways. Keep doing that, please. And now we're just going to simply move into a meet and greet time. You're welcome to stay probably right through till about 9:20 or so, just 25 minutes, and thanks a lot for coming tonight.